Classic League Podcast time! Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 264 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott. I've got Dustin with me. Dustin, what's going on, man?
I feel like that scene from Wayne's World every time we start.
Which one?
Where they're counting down, and it's like when they first get the big studio, and they're like 3,
and they're mouthing the like.
Yeah, and they're bobbing their heads along with it.
Yeah, yep. Man, Wayne's World was such a big deal, and we were a little too young to get it, but old enough to be caught up in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Like Bohemian Rhapsody, telling the jokes we kind of understood. I remember it was on HBO or whatever, and I was watching it, and my dad was in the room, and the scene where the guy's holding up the cards, and he says like his sphincter's tight or something like that. Yeah. I didn't know what a sphincter was, but my dad was crying at that. And once we, then eventually in school in biology, you learn about a sphincter, and I was immediately like taken back to my dad. I'm like, oh, I get why he was laughing now. It was funny. So, yeah, and luckily, we were also young enough. Did you like Wayne's World too?
Yeah.
So I loved it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the first one. If you watch them now.
Yeah, agreed.
But at the time, I loved it. So, yeah, the Word Video Game Podcast will be talking about a little bit of gaming news this week. A very little bit. And some difficult video games that we've been playing. Old and new, but difficult platformers. So it's going to be another week of platformer hell. So I'm excited to talk about that stuff. But before we jump into that, Dustin, how's the week been?
It has been pretty good.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're halfway through February.
It was Valentine's Day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So happy belated Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope you had a nice day. Yeah, man, I'm starting to get the itch for golf season. It's right around the corner.
Yeah. I'm super ready for some good weather.
Have you started planning the garden yet? What you're definitely going to go with? I know you were thinking about paring it down a bit.
Yeah, I was thinking also putting it like higher up on the hill so it'd get more sunshine, because I haven't got good yield like the past couple of years.
Okay, well, it could be you've taken all the nutrients out of the soil too. Do you till in new soil?
No, not usually. You're probably right. I think I just need to either rotate or get some, not mulch, what do you call it?
Like a bedding soil or whatever. It's like, it's got little nitrogen bubbles in it and makes it easy for the shit to breathe.
Compost.
Okay.
You can also use compost.
Yes, compost also works. Basically just get a bunch of bacteria chewing up on stuff and get it tilled in there. And somehow nutrients happen that plants know what to do with. It's pretty wild.
Circle of life.
Yeah, right? Thanks, Disney. So, we have a quick announcement. Josh from Gooch and the Douchebag, who had been joining us the last couple of months now, been on about every other episode. He's got stuff ramping up, so he's going to be back on a break. Hopefully it's not 4 years this next time.
Yeah.
But thanks, Josh. It was good having you back, and hopefully we'll see him again soon.
Yeah, hopefully during the summer he can pop on.
That's what I'm hoping, too. It's one of those things where you just... if he's busy, you don't want him to feel guilty about saying no every week.
Right.
So, we'll keep fingers crossed that this summertime we'll roll around and he'll come back on. And if you'd like to join us in chat and watch the live broadcast of the show, you can participate in the chat, because that's where Dustin shares our news stories. So you can click on the links, kind of follow along. Also, you can recommend stories if you would like us to talk about something. We definitely miss news articles or don't put it on the list because we're not personally interested in it. But if the audience is, we'll definitely throw some unsubstantiated opinions at it. So.
Yeah. We excel at doing that.
Right. So this week in the news, this is something that I haven't heard very many people give press to, and maybe because it just showed up. But Valve is cutting ties with a developer because of them doing fake positive reviews. They were planting reviews. Apparently, it's a Maltese publisher, Incel Games, and Valve says the publisher appears to have multiple Steam accounts to post positive reviews for their own games, and this is a clear violation of our review policy and something we take very seriously. Incel Games did release a statement, which I have not read, so Dustin, I'm going to try to stumble through this.
Okay.
It says, at the day of EA launch in December, an email was sent to everyone in the company telling staff, about 20 people, including freelancers, how important reviews are in the Steam ecosystem, and that a failure of Wild Buster, which is the name of the game, would mean that the company was in jeopardy. It was meant to rally people's support, including advertising the game to their family and friends, and hopes to simply get more reviews. It was never intended to threaten anyone, but just state the importance of reviews for the whole company. No staff has received penalties for not buying the game or writing a review. There also never were texts, or instructions provided how to write the review. We sincerely apologize for the misleading wording in the email and the practice in general. We, the complete team behind Incel Games, we'll keep working and improving Guardians of Ember and Wild Buster, which are still available through other channels. We hope to regain trust of the players through our future actions and further discussion in Steam about the incident. It says, until the current Steam owners... so if you already have a Steam key, it'll still work. That's how it wraps up. So
yeah.
I would love to. They don't have in the article everything posted.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to dig through this because I could either see this apology being absolute bullshit, like a politician's answer,
mm-hmm.
or sincere. Like if some of these freelancers maybe were in a different language, and maybe there wasn't context there, or maybe they were typing in a second language. I don't know. It's one of those things where throw the book at them if they were trying to indirectly lean on their employees to do that.
Yeah.
But I also have sympathy if they weren't. I don't know. It's just... I've worked in a giant corporation before, and I've seen how a domino effect kind of thing can spiral out of control like this.
Mm-hmm.
One gray comment by one manager can just
snowball.
Snowball. So
Steam seems pretty reasonable. So I would think that their reaction would probably be kind of a good indicator of what this really was.
I tend to agree with that. Some of their customer support issues can be in question, but from this kind of stuff, I don't know. Steam does seem to be level-headed. I agree with you. I would have a hard time assuming that Steam is, or that Valve, we should say, that Valve's being unreasonable, or they must feel really confident to pull the plug on somebody.
Yeah.
So,
when it comes to working with people, they certainly don't seem tyrannical.
They do not. No, you really have to push. Every time we report something similar to this, it's always been pretty blatant. We'll never know because this was all behind, behind the scenes. We're not going to get everything, but this would be really fascinating. If we could get one of these YouTubers that we really like that do these really intensive reviews about a particular subject,
mm-hmm.
I'd love to watch a YouTuber just dive in.
Yeah.
And make like a 45-minute video detailing all this. Maybe Jim Sterling will get all pissed off. And I'll get at least a morsel of it. Even though I don't always agree with Jim, I love hearing his perspective on stuff. He presents his information really well. Yeah, so I don't know. Interesting story, so I wanted to bring it up. Next, have you heard much about the next cool item?
I saw that it existed, and I got really excited because, it is a Spyro the Dragon remake. It's coming to PS4 initially, and I'm assuming if it sells well, it'll go everywhere else. And I think it is the first 3 games.
Yes, it does look like it is. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and the first game is one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games.
Is it a coincidence that it's the Year of the Dragon now, and was Spyro... Was the last Year of the Dragon? Was that 20 years ago? Do they say... Was it an even number? I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Because it's also the 20th anniversary. So it's kind of a cool... Uh-oh.
Is Spyro the Dragon 20 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what to tell you, man. PlayStation 1. You just said PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, hey, we got a commenter. Brian says, "Hey, guys, been listening to your podcast for years. When I think you recorded on an iPhone. Keep it up." Thanks, Brian. Wow, awesome. That's amazing. You feel like you've always heard from everybody,
right?
By this time. Yeah, we did. I still have that microphone that Tony and I first tried with. It's about a centimeter, maybe an inch tall, and it would plug into the headphone jack of your phone. And that would have been... God, what tone would Tony have had then? It was, yeah. Wow. Thank you, Brian. I'm very flattered that you've been around this long. That's very cool. And he also loves the original Spyros. Yeah, dude, 20 years old. It's the 20th anniversary.
It might be all 3, but I know the first one for sure had music composed by the drummer of the Police.
Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing if that's true. I love the Police.
Yeah, that first soundtrack is, like, perfect.
The closest that I'm not usually much of a reggae fan, but the Police have a lot of heavy reggae, and I still... Like, they're the closest I get to loving a reggae band, even though they're more poppy. But I do. Yeah. I have Synchronicity and Raga the Night or something like that. Their 1979 album. I have those on vinyl, and they're awesome. I fucking love the Police. That's very cool.
That's awesome. I think, if I remember correctly, he would play the levels. Like, he would play the levels and then compose the music for them, so that the music fit with the level.
He is a phenomenal percussionist. Yeah. And I'm not surprised he would take that approach. I've watched a lot of interviews with him on YouTube and whatnot over the years. And he's also done some side things that I've thought were really cool. Like, he was in a band with Trey Anastasio from Fish and Les Claypool from Primus called Oysterhead.
Wow.
Just cool. Oh, I'm going to go see Primus again.
All right.
Primus and Mastodon are touring.
Wow.
But, like, amazing musical talents, really different music. So I am very excited to see that show. It's in June. They're going to be in Cincinnati. So I'm going to go down there. And I never thought I'd see Primus live again. And
yeah. Do they play their real music?
When I saw them, they played their new album all the way through, and then a couple of hits early on. They did 2 sets.
Okay.
I bet with Mastodon, this tour, it will be went on as Big Brown Beaver and Jimmy's Race Car Driver and all that stuff. I bet it'll be more of the hits. Yeah. Where what we saw was only Primus, and it was almost a 3-hour show. So it was there for the fans. My brother knew all the little nuance went over my head. I was just enjoying the good musicianship. I never played this. I never played Spyro. I didn't have a PS1. Never got into Skylanders.
It's really smooth 3D platforming, collect-a-thon. Like, okay. It's really good.
Yeah, it's Insomniac Games, which I bought Sunset Overdrive because it was like $5 or $8. I've not played it yet, but I heard that's really fun. I remember that when the Xbox One launched, that was one of the few games that people were taking note of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any of the Skylanders games or stuff? I don't think.
No.
I think Josh did, though. Gooch, not douchebag.
Right.
It is weird they're both Josh. It's tough. It's tough. So, yeah, very cool. Keep an eye out for Spyro. Now, according to the GameStop article that we have, it says it's a report. So we don't have dates or anything like that, and it's a report. So there's confirmed sources, but that doesn't mean it's 100% right.
Right. It's
probably is
Sushi X.
Yeah. So what do we have? What do we got next?
EA is giving away Dead Space.
Very cool.
And that's through what's their client? Origin?
Origin.
Yeah. So which is the PC version of that is really good. So, and Dead Space is one of my favorite games ever.
So, go get it. And in the Engadget article, I was scrambling before the show started to try to see how long that was going to be available. And the Engadget article says that they don't know how long it's going to be part of their EA Origin always has, it seems to have a game called On the House. They have a whole section, and it's a free game, and they indicated on the article they don't know how long that's going to be up. We're recording this on February 15th, and I saw this maybe 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that you'll have a couple of weeks.
And do you know if you download it, you just have it forever?
Yes, as long as you have your EA account, you have it forever. It's just tied to your account. They have given away a lot of very good games in that. There was one of the Assassin's Creeds, like maybe Black Flag or something, was free for a while. Like a relatively recent, well-done one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, also Ubisoft every now and again does too. I know they've given Rayman away recently. I thought I was going to really hate different clients outside of Steam. It doesn't bother me at all. I think my buddy getting me into Blizzard games is what made me used to that and not care so much. Mm-hmm. So, but Dead Space for free. It holds up very well. I know
that game's what, a decade old now?
2008, yeah. Man, getting there. We're getting up there, man. It's going quick. Our ages are leaking oil. There was some other gaming news stuff, but I don't really want to get into it. There's some controversy about CD Projekt Red and loot boxes, and I was trying to read through the article, and I'm like, I don't care, and this is all speculation. Yeah. You know, I'm just gonna wait till it's out, and if it's broken, we'll talk about it, and if it's fine, it's fine. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Good news or bad news, and then I was reading it, and I'm like, this is just like filler. Who cares? I hate that when you click on an article and you're just, it might not even be written poorly. It's just like you realize you don't give a shit. And
yeah,
do you ever get that? And then you scroll just to see how long the article is, and if you're relatively close, you'll finish it. Otherwise, you'll just bounce.
Yeah.
What's crazy is they have the analytics for all that. They know that that's what you did.
Good.
Because they can scroll. They can see your scrolls while you're on websites. It's nuts. So, yeah, that's it for news this week. That was the only stuff that really caught our attention here while we were putting show notes together for last minute. So, lucky for you guys, that means we are early and talking about our YouTube channel of the week.
Channel of the week. Week. So let's talk about Mega Destroy Bastard.
All right.
Excellent YouTube name.
Yes.
He does kind of like game theory videos.
Not like that bullshit game theory Matt Pat or whatever. Like actual, like Prisoner's Dilemma game theory and like picking like the way that people judge odds. They usually do it poorly. That kind of game theory.
No, it's a little bit closer to
the Matt Pat stuff.
Pat, yeah.
Okay, which I love those original ones. He was too much like obnoxious theater guys I knew in high school. Like too, hey, yeah, man, and I had to bounce on that guy.
I think he's maybe a little more grounded than that. But he did one called "The Sorrow is the Real Big Boss."
Okay.
Related to Metal Gear Solid 3. And he did a few other things. One regarding a possibly canceled Legacy of Kain game. But he hasn't put anything out in 7 months. So if all of our followers go and watch his videos, then it won't make any real...
we won't make a dent, but
negligible difference.
We'll take credit if he posts a video next month.
Yeah.
That hearing you talk about that, Dan Reichert on Giant Bomb, their premium, has been playing through the first Metal Gear on the MSX because it's one of the, it's like in a PS4 collection or something like that, and they're using no codes or anything, or no walkthroughs. Okay. So it's Vinny, Alex, and Dan trying to get through Metal Gear, and it's a fun. Now, the reason this is super fun is because Dan Reichert is the biggest Metal Gear fan maybe ever. He wrote college papers on it, and yeah. So, now, the Sorrow is the real big boss. Can you walk me through a little bit of this?
So...
You can decide what's too much as far as spoilers and stuff. I'm never going to play it.
Big Boss is the villain of the first game on MSX/Nintendo.
I don't know that yet. On their playthrough?
Okay.
Fuck. I'm totally kidding. But it's going to make me watch their playthrough with anticipation.
And Metal Gear Solid 3 is kind of the rise of Big Boss. Like how he came to be Big Boss.
Okay.
And the Sorrow is one of the characters that you kind of encounter in that game. And he's kind of his theory is that Big Boss and his motivations are just the motivations of the Sorrow.
So this isn't like that, like complete. It has. Is it founded in something, or is it like the Star Wars people that are like, it was Jar Jar the whole time? That was George Lucas's plan from the beginning.
I think it's more grounded. Like there's actually something to it.
Cool.
He can make some connections. I'll say that much.
All right, I'll accept that. Also related to Giant Bomb and watching other people play video games instead of playing them. They're also doing This Is the Run, but Contra Hardcore on Genesis.
All right.
That's been very fun. They're like 8 episodes in, and I love Contra so much. It's cool to watch. I need to play a hardcore. I have that cart. I've never really played it because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
But the Cuphead guys said that they use that for a lot of their inspiration for boss mechanics and structure. And watching these guys play through it, you can totally see the influence that it had on Cuphead. So that's right up my alley.
There's a secret like Castlevania nod in that.
Is that the false ending?
I think so. Like you go up at one point and you get like a false ending.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I saw that. I was like, dude, I have to own this game. But then I saw like box copies are like $130 or something. It's gone up in price considerably.
It's one of the few things that my ex-girlfriend did nice for me. Was we were not nice for me, but like we were in Bowling Green and I drug her into a video game store that they had across from campus, and she spotted Contra Hardcore in the Genesis cart bin, and I got it for $8.
Dude, sweet.
I was like, and at that time it was like a $20 cart. Label's a little damaged, so it was pretty fair. But in a game store, not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Contra Hardcore. It looks awesome. I don't know why I've been so intimidated by Contra 3 and Hardcore. I've just assumed I couldn't beat him.
With you being as good as you are at the first one, I bet you could.
Well, that's what Dumez would say. He's like, oh, you could totally do it.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd have to put more time in than I did on the first one, and I needed save states to cheese through Super C.
Mm-hmm.
But watching these guys play it, I definitely could. Dumez was right. I could do it, and I need to. Those games are both excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a good use of the DeLorean? To go back in time and kidnap the Contra and Castlevania team and just pay for their Steam stuff and put them in a think tank somewhere? Let them just make games, put them out on Steam. I mean, those...
After we got autographs, yeah.
Okay. Watch them jam out and try to... Yeah, that would be fun.
Oh, okay. So we get all those teams.
Okay.
And then we go to a time where Super Nintendo and Genesis games are like at their lowest point. And we get all their games and we get them to autograph those games.
And then we tell ourselves how much they're going to be worth and sell them and don't.
Yes.
That's what would happen.
Yes.
I mean, it's not quite like the Back to the Future where we would be placing bets. We would tell ourselves that's what it is. So, yeah. Well, I guess that's going to be it for YouTube channel of the week. Dustin, we're like 15 minutes into the episode and almost 2/3 done.
It's all right. This is the speedrun edition.
This is the speedrun episode. So, let's talk about what you've been playing, man.
All right. I picked up Akamajo Dracula.
Yeah.
For the Famicom. And this is the actual Famicom cart version, which is really rare because it came out in 1993.
That's why. Because you talked about getting this last episode. Was this what you got with the Popful Mail?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got that, and I got the GBA version boxed.
Nice.
But the Famicom version is pretty cool because it has an easy mode. And the easy mode would really turn a lot of people on to Castlevania if you could play it. Because you don't take there's no knockback.
Oh, wow.
You take less damage. You start with 30 hearts instead of 5. You keep your sub-weapon when you die. You keep your multiplier when you die.
Really?
Yeah. You keep your multiplier when you change weapons.
And these aren't going to break the game and make it unfun to play. It's still
right.
Castlevania.
Yeah. And they don't take a quarter of your life, but they'll still take 2 hit points off. So you can get hit 7 times, I think, before you die.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And at 1993 was... It took him from, 87 to 93 to be like, hey, so we're getting some feedback that some of these are too hard.
Yeah. 86, actually. 86 to 93.
Okay.
I think Rondo of Blood was released in 93, to give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't... That was obviously a different team because there's no easy mode in Rondo of Blood.
Damn right.
Rondo of Blood's a middle finger. Brian says, I can't get far in Castlevania without save states.
Hey, man. Do what you got to do.
Yep. Definitely use save states to get through if you need to, but you might surprise yourself.
Yeah, I used a save state on Castlevania 3 playing it on my DS.
It's cool to still see the end of the game. I'm not opposed to rewind features, save states, whatever.
I liked it because I can practice that one boss without having to worry about running through a whole stage.
Mario 2 6 Golden Coins is a great game for save states. pretty easy the whole time, except Wario's Castle at the very end has some bullshit parts in it. Nice to have save states there. Because it can sour the game for you. If you have a real shit final boss.
Yeah.
Man, that's... It's very un-Konami to put an easy mode in one of those games.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's pretty cool. It has the... it's weird seeing a Famicom version of the Konami logo pop up first. You get that first. It's like a Konami splash screen, and then it goes to the title screen.
Oh, it doesn't just do title screen? There's a splash screen on a Famicom cart?
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Weird. Does it look like an 8-bit version of the 16-bit one that you get on Genesis or Super Nintendo, or is it just like a single image?
I think it's a fade-in white Konami on a black background.
Okay.
I think it fades in and then fades out. I really wish it had the 8-bit version, like the jingle.
chime.
That would have been awesome.
I'm sure that's a not a good use of resources.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Every time I'll never shake the stat. Again, I have no source for this anymore, so it could be total bullshit. But something like 20% of the memory of the first Sonic game was taken up by the Sega intro, like to have it vocalized to say Sega.
Yeah.
All that entire game, all those hours of play, all that music, but to have it replicate a voice was a substantial amount of the memory available.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of that. So with the Castlevania GBA game, tell me about that. Because I know the GBA stuff can be quite different with the Super Mario Deluxe type of games and whatnot. So
it's pretty 1-to-1, like, because it's a literal, like, it's labeled classic NES series.
Okay.
I think they wanted to be as true to form as possible. The only real difference I saw in that was the credits are gone at the end.
That's a very cool difference to notice. I just have to say that. For you. That means you're seeing the end of games. That's awesome.
But the Famicom version in either mode, so in the Nintendo version, after you pick up the orb after you beat a boss, if you hold down the B button, you'll whip continuously. So you're guaranteed at least a slightly good pose.
Okay.
In this one, it does not continue to whip. You do not continue to whip. So you have to time it with the end of the song to get a good pose.
I like that. I like the fact that it's timed with the song. Oh, and I totally skipped over an awesome thing about the first one. My bad. I didn't mean to jump into GBA before.
No, it's good. I actually ended up pulling off my very first ever no-death Castlevania run.
That's amazing. That's really impressive.
No death. It took so many tries, but I got it done.
That's brutal because you can get screwed 25 minutes into a playthrough.
The biggest threat is the clock tower. You can, like, oh my goodness, you can get knocked off by those Imp men, the flea men, so easily. Or there are so many of them and they're all moving so fast, all you have to do is get hit 4 times and you're dead.
So what I guess at what point were you playing that where you realized that this is going to be a goal? Or did it just kind of happen?
I've always wanted to do it. It's always kind of been in the back of my mind. And I've just been on such a Castlevania kick, I'm just going to keep playing this thing.
Hell yeah. And that was on the Famicom cart you did that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. This is sounding a little Billy Mitchell. The only no death run you have. And I got to take your word that you didn't put it on easy mode.
Oh, man, easy mode. I can run straight through that easy mode like nothing.
I'd hope so. Wouldn't that be weird if it had some gameplay element that prevented you from... Like you had a cheese in it or something?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, because you don't get knockback, you can't damage boost.
Oh, now that the damage boost is a speed run like pro thing where you can land on one side of the enemy, right, and get catapulted. Yeah, that's hardcore. And you do that? Is that?
I have two damage boosts that I use.
That's one of your strats.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I learned that from my GDQ peeps.
What a fun thing. I watched a video where the GDQ, where someone's like, I'm never going to donate to them because they showed how much money the organizers were pulling in from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you realize that every charity, someone's getting paid to do the work to raise the money.
Right. They have to cover their costs, and then it goes to charity.
And make it worth their while, and then make it go to charity. He was complaining about, I mean, it was a lot of money, but it wasn't like the NFL where they're like only 10% of the proceeds of the pink stuff goes to the cancer and cancer research, and 90% goes into the pockets of the NFL. It wasn't egregious like that. I don't know. It's just some people. They're just never happy, right?
Right.
But no death run. That's fucking awesome, dude. That's more impressive than the Contra. I don't have, so I'm a little peeved at you. No, I can't.
And my final showdown, I had a little more than half my health, and I was fighting Dracula, and I had him down to 2 hits, and I hadn't been touched yet, and I got hit by a fireball, and then he appeared on me and hit me twice in a row, and I had 2 hit points left, and I finished the fight.
So you gotta love those moments where you're like, am I just gonna kamikaze dive in and hope it's him before me? Was it one of those moments, or do you stay calm and you knew just whip, jump over the fireballs, whip, jump over the fireballs, or did you just go all in?
I had to actually think about it and go Zen state, because I hit him 2 more times, and that was just the end of his first form. So I had to go through the rest of his second form.
Oh wow, that's even more impressive. It's a big giant monster thing, right?
Yeah, he jumps around and shoots fireballs at you.
Okay.
And I had to do that without getting touched.
Bravo.
Luckily I had trip crosses.
Trip crosses. That was my breakthrough hip hop album. So Castlevania on the GBA. When you say it's pretty close, is it graphically really close as well? Is it an emulated version, or is it more like the Super Mario versions?
It's emulated, but there are very slight changes.
Okay.
The font of the HUD is different.
Okay. But the corners of sprites and stuff seem similar?
Yeah, they all seem spot on, unchanged. The sound effects for the sub-weapons seem louder.
Oh, okay.
Which is a really weird change. It may just be something with GBA's sound output.
It could, maybe it can support all of the channels. Do you remember when we had Tyler Meir on, and composer of Shadows of Adam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When he was telling us, try to listen to the way that the sound in NES games cuts out. When sound effects would happen in Mario and stuff like that. So I wonder if it seems louder to you just because that sound isn't missing underneath from the game, so you're just getting more input in general.
Yeah, I bet so.
Very cool. It's fun to be able to notice that little things like that and speculate on why. Whenever I hear of GBA games, I always think of it as a small Super Nintendo. So I kind of like the fact that it graphically stayed the same.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Pretty cool. And this doesn't have easy mode, I'm assuming?
No, it's just straight Nintendo port.
Is the easy mode in that cart selectable like Mega Man is? Is that how it's done, or? Yeah,
it's at the start screen. You just hit select, and it goes between normal and easy.
Cool. I didn't know if it was buried, because it's not, unlike Castlevania, to bury hidden shit in places, so. Very cool, man. Well, do you have something next in the Castlevania lineage, or do you think that you've got your fill for a minute?
I don't know. I'm enjoying it so much. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'd like to stream a No Death run.
I would love for you to do that as well. I was going to say it earlier, but I don't want to put pressure on you, but you should totally do it now. You said it.
Yeah.
You can. In front of people, that's impressive. I posted a run that I did privately.
Mm-hmm.
I could quit and walk away. When you're live, it's different. It's weird. Like I'll be able to play a song perfectly by myself on my guitar. As soon as a friend's like, "Hey, can you play this?" I'm like,
theoretically,
yes. I'm like, I promise I have. So cool. Well, as far as what I've been up to, I've been playing some more Hearthstone. I am now playing a priest deck that I found that I like a lot, but my problem with priest is it's got a lot of healing to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the games just take forever. So I got to move on to something faster. I want to play a more... I want a quick game. I want to know that it's going to be done in 11 minutes. These priest games can take 20 minutes sometimes.
Mm.
And then to lose at the end on some bullshit... not fun. Also, we got an email from a publisher, Sidra Games.
Okay.
Adam over at Sidra Games sent us a code, actually sent a few codes, for a new game called Mike Dies that is coming out on February 23rd. It's the 15th today, so we got about a week to go. And we got 2 extra codes, so if you're interested in a code, I'm going to be giving them away. So you can comment in the comments of this video, contact us on Twitter. Also, if none of the codes are claimed, I'm going to do a stream and let people, even in the archive, comment. And then the day of the game, I can give them out at that point. If nobody from this podcast broadcast claims them all. But it is a brutally tough platformer, so you know that I enjoy that. My initial impression was not great because it doesn't seem to do well in the Steam Link.
Mm.
It's the first time I've had noticeable lag, and I don't know if that's the game's fault or not. I wouldn't think it is, but you never know. However, when I played it at my PC then, it is very fun. The lag in the Steam Link was killing me. I just felt like it wasn't precise enough. And when I sat down at my machine and was not streaming it over the network and just playing it, it was like perfect controls. They were dead. They were exactly what you would want. The artwork is a little jarring because the main character looks like a style that would come out of the game Braid.
Okay.
But the rest of the level does not. It looks like it would be almost like an 8-bit demake at times. It's kind of hard to describe. But even though I'm not a giant fan of the way that the art style kind of goes together, there are still some really cool, like trippier elements. Like it's hard to describe. I'm looking forward to showing this because it's almost like you're walking on blocks that are designed to look like space, but they're the foreground. And then in the background, there's like these, it almost looks like the wire between stained glass.
Mm-hmm.
And what's behind that is space at times. And the asteroids and stuff look like asteroids that would have been out of a mid-90s CD-ROM like texture map.
Okay.
But it doesn't have like, it doesn't feel unintentional because there's a lot of higher resolution other places, and there's some really trippy things that happen. It's an instant respawn kind of game, but it's not like Super Meat Boy where you die and it instantly respawns you. you die and it gives you a death counter, then you can hit B to go again. Or if when you die you hit B, you do get that instant respawn. So if me coming from Super Meat Boy and Celeste recently, those were, I didn't need to hit that button. So now I'm getting into the habit of hitting it. So you'll be going through a level, and there are these blocks that will instantly kill you, but only some of the time. Like if you spend too much time hovering over a pattern, it'll kill you. It's very unclear, but it makes sense as you play it. The game like teaches you well what to do. They'll teach you a mechanic, like a good game does, and will tweak it and switch it up on you in a really fun way. And all I've been able to do is jump so far. I've had the physics change, but I haven't had to do anything else. And it's a puzzle platformer. You just have to figure out the patterns and then execute it. And you and I both love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The music's excellent. It's very ambient, very cool. It is. It's a trippy kind of game. And there's weird points where you get to the end of a stage and you'll go into what feels almost like a dream sequence and be killed, but you think that maybe you couldn't have been killed. Like, oh, I should have been able to make it through that. But you won't respawn in that area again. And then you'll go to a normal stage where you do have to get through it properly. So it messes with you on whether or not you've done progression or not. And there's this enormous eyeball behind you, kind of like a cross between Sauron and the giant eye in Rogue Legacy.
Okay.
That like shoots in from the background and it takes up the whole screen. And it talks in this like weird modulated voice. I don't know. I'm glad I sat down and played it outside of the Steam Link because I was sitting there grinning and having a really good time with it. So I would keep that up. Brian says, Scott, what would you compare the game to? I think Braid is a good example because of the puzzle aspects of it. The tight maneuvering would be like Celeste and Super Meat Boy. It's just a brutally tough puzzle platformer. It's that. I think so, a mix of kind of all of those. It's somewhere in there.
Cool.
And then also, I did take some time and kick back and relax a bit. I dug more into Golf Story, and that is a silly game and it's just addicting. All you do is do that 3-point swing system over and over again. And you run into a character and they say, hey, I need you to do this. And then it branches and you have to do a bunch of other chores for a bunch of other people to get that first objective completed. It's just straight RPG nonsense as far as what to do. And I don't know, in the way that slot machines are addicting, you just keep playing. And I don't know, there's something kind of fun about not always playing holes of golf. Mm-hmm. Like they'll say, oh, you can't golf here because the turtles are mad at us. So you have to go make the turtles happy so that you can hit the ball where the turtle would be and a shell pops up and your golf ball hits their shell and then ricochets far enough where you can complete this weird objective. Or I needed to feed 10 fish before I could go to a certain area, and the way that I would feed fish was to hit skill golf shots, and the fish would eat the golf ball, and that gave them the sustenance they needed. I'm like,
all right,
whatever. This is very silly, but great. At one point, I was able to purchase a new sand wedge that, after I ran into an archaeologist, I was able to then dig around and find money and coins and stuff so I could, eventually buy other equipment. Mm-hmm. But as I was doing that, I also was told that an idol was stolen from, like, if we put it into Chrono Trigger terms, it's the 65 million years ago area. So there was an idol lost, except for the cavemen exist in the modern day people, and they're just golf courses next to each other that hate each other.
Okay.
So I find this idol that the caveman thought were stolen by the yuppies, and my motivation is I just want to play golf, and I'm doing things for these assholes and doing other things for nice people. And there's a side mission with disc golfers that are annoying the yuppies.
That's basically your real life.
It's real life, man. That's why I probably like the game so much. The thing that I loved about the disc golf mechanic so far is it's dumb and hard in a way that real disc golf is dumb and hard.
All right.
And so once you like get it, you're like, okay, all right, I'm into this. But at first, you're like, this is dumb. What? I don't want to have to mess with this, but it's fun. Golf Story, I've been enjoying. I'm playing it on the Switch. I don't know if it's available anywhere else. But Golf Story. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for what we have been playing. Let's talk about our email. We got some fan mail from our good buddy Kevin, and then you want to get that, and then I will read Dumbass's feedback from last episode, and we'll call it a show.
Alrighty. Let's see. Our Canadian correspondent Kevin says, my dearest Leets, I hope this letter finds you well. I have been on a Legend of Zelda kick recently. I even bought a shirt. I never did before because I felt like I didn't like the Zelda series, but then I realized I played 90% of the games and apparently am a fan. So there you go. I'm not a poser. I'm still playing my SNES Mini.
So hold on, I got to interrupt here.
Okay.
So Kevin writes these from his iPhone.
All right.
In an impressive manner, right? We've always admired his ability to type with that. So is poser in here? Is this some French slant that slipped out because he's Canadian? Or is this a typo?
I'm thinking it's some sort of French slant.
You don't or you do?
I do.
Okay. Let us know, Kevin.
Yeah, they're just throwing U's in there like the Brits.
Posier, I don't know. I'm okay, sorry. Sorry to derail.
No, you're good. I'm still playing my SNES Mini on Link to the Past. Just finished Woolly World for the Wii U. That's hard to say. And have been playing my Game Boy games on my 3DS.
Nice.
I haven't touched my PS4 since completing Octodad, which is a great game, as I'm waiting for a new game to make me want to touch it again. However, I've been playing Hotline Miami 2 on the Vita after completing Part 1. I prefer 1 over 2, as 2 puts you in more situations where guns are a must. And I'm the kind of guy who comes in swinging, but whatever, it's a fun game with a twisted story.
I agree. I liked 1 more as well.
Also, the mom and pop store next to my house has the SNES Classic. So if you guys want me to order one, let me know. Funny hearing you guys talk about trading games, as I have a bad habit of going to garage sales and buying every game they have. I recently moved into a bigger house, 2-floor, backyard, and garage, son.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. The biggest house I'll ever rent in Toronto. And now have more storage, but less shelf space. Hannah's books took over my game shelf.
Get used to it.
Yeah, no joke.
It reminds me of the Joe Rogan. He was trying to describe what it was like to have only daughters and a wife. He's like, specifically my daughter. He's like, if you imagine like me, everything I want and love, like my masculinity and all this stuff, he's like, picture it as a big bunch of marbles. And every day she goes and she takes just one. And before you know it, it's all gone. I have no control. She's got everything. I'm like, that's funny. That's what that reminds me of. His game shelf is one of the many marbles I'm sure he's already had to part with.
Poor Kevin.
Hannah looks like a very, very sweet girl, so I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Yeah. So I traded in a bunch of PS2 games I bought at garage sales that I never will play, but purchased because I'm a fucking idiot. Shrek games, CSI games, and what have you. And got Wolf Among Us for PS4, even though I have it on Xbox 360. Man, I am dumb. Anyways, now with all that said, my question of the week. Have you ever played a new retro game? And if so, what is your favorite? Now, what I mean is by that is during the late 90s, game companies went through a stage where they tried to reinvent the classic games. Most of these games were on PSX, Dreamcast. You have Pong, The Next Level, Breakout, 3D Frogger, Centipede, Space Invaders, and so on. Hell, I'll even accept the new retro, postmodern, classic, remake, pre-classic spin-off games like Pac-Man Championship DX and the likes.
See, now I just picture Kevin all full French, like black turtleneck, wearing a beret, like the Cruella de Vil cigarette filter, while he's talking about new retro postmodernism, trying to talk. It's all in good fun, Kevin. I really liked the Galaga 88s. The Galaga 88. That was kind of a refresh, bring back of that. What about you?
I don't know that I played a single one of them. I'm most interested in the Blaster Master remake for PS1. How about that?
All right, I'll count that.
Cool.
I'm trying to think of. I know there's definitely some that we're missing. I really like the new retro postmodern classics. So the Pac-Man Championship DX is excellent. Galaga is not that great. I picked that up on a sale and I thought it was fair. I don't know which one, and I haven't played it, but I am going to count it because it's Tetris and that's great. But any of those subsequent Tetris games that came out that had the Versus stuff in it.
Okay. The PS1 Pitfall. I like that one.
Oh, there. Okay.
And it had Bruce Campbell's voice in it.
Is he the Ash from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nailed it.
That would have. I would have felt very, very happy and relieved at trivia night with that one. I'm like, yeah, Evil Dead. He's Ash from Evil Dead. Because I've never seen Evil Dead. I'll have to fix that sometime.
Oh man, I saw Evil Dead way too young.
Yeah,
way too young.
That's how I feel about Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
I saw that way too. That fucked me up. I had first real nightmares I remember related to something that I experienced. Now I watch it and I love it and it's silly.
Yeah.
Did it scare the hell out of you? Was it like really gory and the witch was not a joke?
It was. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was sitting on my mom's lap. It's my mom's fault. She loved horror movies, which I kind of inherited later.
Kind of.
I think just because, we're just passing the torch because she went to a theater with her dad and
which watched The Birds or something.
Was it Frankenstein maybe?
Okay.
It was one of the older horror movies. And no, that doesn't make sense because those came out in
those
the
were
30s.
Like the 30s or 40s, right?
Yeah, it must have been like a reshowing. Maybe.
I was going to say that doesn't mean it wasn't in the theater though.
Yeah. It's not like it was on Blu-ray.
No.
But anyway, she saw something and it scared the crap out of her. So she loved horror movies from that point forward. And then she was watching horror movies and didn't think, hey, maybe I shouldn't show this to like my 4-year-old son. And we watched Evil Dead and it was scaring the hell out of me. And I think like I was flipping out and because I was sitting on her lap and I was flipping out and she was trying to calm me down and I went like that and I hit her in the bridge of the nose and broke her nose or something.
Did I hit? I accidentally hurt my mom real bad in the face once too. I made her be the catcher so that I could practice pitching because I was gonna start pitching later that night in Little League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I threw a strike, went right over the glove, and cracked her straight in the nose. It immediately freaked me out because it was just a rush of blood. Like, oh my god! Then I was mad at her. I'm like, when you're 9 years old, your logic is, damn you, Mom, you made me feel bad because I hit you in the face because you missed it. Now I feel bad. Thanks, Mom. She refused to do that anymore after that. Luckily, I was only 9.
Yeah.
But still, a ball throwing as hard as a 9-year-old can a baseball, that's not going to be fun. Luckily, it didn't break anything, but it was immediate, I think I hit her right below the cartilage on the top lip and just enough to,
get some
get some gruesome going.
What was I gonna ask? Oh, did she yell "funky butt loving"?
No, like that would have been. Oh my god, dude! I mean, I do have the best mom, but like that would have been legendary. She would have been like Cleopatra, all-time great woman.
Oh goodness.
So okay.
All right, so Kevin goes on to say, mine was Pong from the PS1. I love that game. There's a level which we called Windows 95 due to cloud backgrounds. It was a fun multiplayer game with a storyline. I believe you can buy it on the PlayStation Store for $5.99 Canadian, so it's probably like, oh, he made the joke, and probably 25 cents USA. Also, congrats, Dustin. I can't remember if I congratulated you or not on Simon, in quotes, Belmont, but congrats. Typos left in for the lulz. Kevin sent from my iPhone.
So, yeah. Kevin, great email, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was really late publishing last week's episode. So when I put it on Facebook, all I said was Kevin's had enough time to catch up. And the way he reacted, I think it really was true that he said I did have time to catch up. But I wonder if he was thinking about it. I wonder, sometimes you just make the right comment at the right time and it like it's a home run, but you're not sure as you're typing it out. And I'm like, God, I hope he sees this one. Because our Facebook is bullshit. We'll have like 1,100 likes on it, and unless we pay money, less than 1% of people will be reached.
Yeah.
So luckily, Kevin saw that one.
Oh, Zuck. It's actually, speaking of Simon, he's getting, I think that kid's going to be a linebacker or something. He is a beast already. So Kim and I were joking about there being twins in there, and we were like, well, okay, what? Just in case there are twins, what are we going to name them? And we already had a female name picked out in case we had a daughter. So for the boy, we were thinking Samuel, and Solomon's name is SR, and Simon's name is going to be SR. So we were like, Samuel what? And I was like, Richter? Trying to slip that in, but I don't think it's going to
go. Speaking of, this is only slightly related just because you're kind of trolling your wife a bit with that. So the new Giant Bomb video producer, Janet Ochoa, I think that's how his last name's pronounced. He proposed to his wife on leap year. So the celebratory, like, oh, this was the day I proposed to you, is only once every 4 years. And he's like, yeah, a couple of my buddies thought it was hilarious, and everybody else thinks I'm a monster. I thought it would be kind of fun, though, because every 4 years you can make a thing of it. Whereas who else celebrates the time they got engaged?
Right.
You're just like, oh, yeah, we got engaged this day, right?
I think so.
Because
sure.
You don't celebrate the pre-anniversary. You already have so many other things. That's low on the list.
Yeah.
But if you're on leap year, once every 4 years, you can make a special thing of it.
Totally.
At least that's a spin that I would have if I ever put myself in that position. Props to him. Like that. I'm one of the ones that think that's pretty funny.
That's great. Plus,
you're proposing to her. You have an idea of whether that's going to hit or not.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, there's definitely been some girls I dated. If I had tried to pull that, would not have been acceptable. One would have been cool with it. So yeah, cool. Thank you very much, Kevin, our good buddy from Toronto, old friend of the show. But you know what, Kevin? Brian in chat I think he's probably got Kevin beat.
Yeah, the iPhone microphone podcast.
That's first OG. 10 episodes. Like that's. Yeah. We don't know if this is still going to be going within that calendar year at that point. Let alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, we're getting close to year number 8. We're in our 7th year now, and May is 8 years. Be 10 before we know it. That'd be wild. That would be, well, I don't even want to think about that. So yeah, also our good friend Dumez on YouTube, Duhmez, go check out his channel. He comments on last week's episode, and he says, if Red Dead 2 is full of microtransactions, like shitty Grand Theft Auto 5, then forget it. He said, GTA 5 online is such trash. He said, think about it. Theft Auto. But in the game, you can steal cars. They sell you cars with real money, total BS. He said, and then the grind to earn it in the game is so slow that you have to wait forever for a low-end car or nothing else. It's complete trash. This is very cool. He says, me and my two brothers won PUBG for the first time as a team. Number 1. It was epic. He said, mostly I hid like a scared girl, but a win is a win. I agree. A win is a win. He says you were talking about flexing your arm muscle to push the button fast, and that's my technique. He said, I posted a video on YouTube called I Can Push Buttons Faster Than You. I'm going to link that. He says, if you want to see it, I measured it with software. I can do about 12.5 times per second.
That's pretty good.
Now,
I wonder how much I can do.
That's what I want to know who can keep that pace up for 30 seconds. Like, the 30-second pace is the...
Ooh.
But then I also like the sprint idea, you know.
Okay.
Your best, 3-second split as you're sitting there going. Maybe we can get Steve over at HD Retrovision to engineer a controller to measure this because they're bored and they don't have anything going on.
I think I have a Wii shooter that has one of those built in.
Really?
It's like a Hudson shooter. So I might be able to measure that.
You know that Dumbass will be on board with. That would be fun. I bet Zarek could be really fucking good at it.
Yeah.
That would be fun if we all just sent this disc around and we're posting our world record runs on our YouTube channels.
I don't know if it's disc. I definitely have it downloaded.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Because worst case, I can send to my Wii. Maybe not. I don't know if I trust the UPS and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
That's my emulator. That's my emulator box. Because the emulators on the Wii are so good. Speaking of HD Retrovision, though, I don't remember if we talked about it on air or off air last week, but you mentioned that those guys were going to review the reviewers of the Super NT. They did that night, and it was cool. They didn't trash everybody. The only people they were really harsh on were Cinemassacre guys, but their review was objectively horrible. They just didn't know what they were talking about. You could tell. You and I aren't experts, and you and I would pick up, you're saying stuff that's wrong. What are you talking about? Everybody, they reviewed the Giant Bomb stream. The Giant Bomb guys were just dicking around for 2 hours, just plugging carts in to see what would work, just goofing around. But they still, because the HD Retrovision guys know the stuff so well, they were looking at it, are they explaining FPGA appropriately? With all the reviews, did people do a good job of that? And they thought Peter Brown did a good job at GameSpot. They said Metal Jesus's was really good, and they talked about them. They would judge them from a technical standpoint sometimes, but other times they would say, if you were a consumer, this is a really good review because it covers the stuff a consumer might be really interested in versus, people like us.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was it was actually really informative to watch them go through, and I thought they were really fair and only harsh to one reviewer, and it was well deserved. They deserved to be shredded. They looked stoned as hell too. They just did. So I don't, who knows. Also, Dumbass says in GTA 5 online, he says use a rubber band and a vice grip to hold down the button, and you can run forever. It will boost your speed to max.
Cool.
And then also, he has a link to a video here. He says, LOL, you can beat Breath of the Wild without climbing. Check it out. I have not watched it, but that's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All I did was climb. So this is kind of like a no sword run. You're like, that can't be possible, right?
Right.
Leave it to the internet. So cool. Well, Dustin, we made it to an hour.
That's pretty good.
Not bad for no news. I thought we were going to come in about 35 minutes this week.
Yeah, our show notes were pretty anemic. So.
Yep. But that's good. We still made it. Hopefully it was a decent hour for everybody. Brian, thanks for stopping by, man. Very cool. And again, thank you for listening for all these years. It's really, really cool. I do want to mention we've had a little bit of trouble with our feed. So if you're on Android, you may have an issue. Some apps are not seeing. Some apps will only now let you stream our podcast, not download it. So I will be fixing that, but it may take a little bit of time. If you run into a situation where you're unable to download the episode and you need that because you don't want to stream it, if you search for Classic Elite at archive.org, all of our episodes are there, and our website will have them, and the download works there. So I will have everything fixed over time. Moving forward, it shouldn't be a problem. But please be patient, and they're still there if you do need that sort of thing. I ran out of words while you were coughing, Dustin.
Just choking to death, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank Ben Landis very much for letting us use his song Through the Forest as our intro music. Our RSS feed is available at our website, classicleet.com. But you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, and eventually some other places as well. Social media. I blanked out there for a second. I got to talk about social media. We are most active on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Our handle there is just Classic L337. Definitely follow us on YouTube the most. But also, if you like our outro music, follow us on SoundCloud. I share a lot of cool chiptune stuff that I find over there. If you'd like to support the show, please leave us a rating anywhere that you can. That would be amazing. It really helps the algorithms at different places suggest us to other people. And also we have Amazon affiliate links in the descriptions of our podcasts and videos. So if you go to Amazon through those links, then if you buy something, we will get a little bit of credit for it. So that's going to be it. Dustin, before I talk about outro music, do you have any other final thoughts for the week?
Go play Castlevania, everybody. Yeah,
that's phenomenal advice. It's the best line of the episode. Truest thing we've said. So I'm going to play a song from formerly Ayu Shut Duff, who changed his name, thankfully, to Blue Navi, because I know how to say that for the most part.
Yeah.
Or I guess I could get real Midwestern, Blue Navy.
Navy?
Blue Navy. It's not my grandma. But Blue Navi, the song is called Replicant. I mentioned it last week. Blade Runner 2049 is one of the best movies of all time, so I'm still hyped and want to play a song that a chiptune artist that I love was inspired by the Blade Runner movie, so I'd like to play that song. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it too, and we'll see you next week for episode 265.
Boosh.
Alrighty, well, anybody watching that wasn't in chat but we're hanging out, thank you very much for stopping by. And Brian, thank you very much for hanging out tonight. Please come by whenever. And yeah, thanks for listening all these years. It's really cool. It seriously is very flattering when to hear something like that. So thank you very much, man. And yeah, see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.